Good evening, fellow gamers and college esports fans, and welcome to Day 2 of our second week of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers League of Legends Spring Season. I'm Jake Superman Mori, and casting alongside me is the play-by-play paladin himself, Ben Jihadre Sorensen. We're casting live from the Einar Nielsen historic fieldhouse here at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. Tonight, we'll have the opportunity to watch as Oregon State University takes on University of Colorado in their best-of-3 match on Summoner's Rift. We're still in the first couple of weeks, though, here of the PACG Spring Tournament. So, Ben, how about you give us a rundown as to what to expect?
I'd love to, Jake. Thank you very much. Okay, so the PACG is going to have this inaugural spring season. It's 4 different tournaments, one for League of Legends, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and Rocket League. So for the next 8 weeks, the best players from 10 schools are going to go head-to-head every weekday night in the group stages. League of Legends will be played every Monday and Wednesday, starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That is 6 p.m. Pacific. And schools are split into 2 regions, the North and the South, and each school will have the chance to face every other school in their region in a best-of-3 match. At the end of the group stage, the top 3 teams from each region will go to the playoffs. That's a single elimination bracket with the top team advancing directly to semifinals. It all ends in Finals Week, when the final games for League of Legends, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and Rocket League will all be played in one high-octane week.
And to give our viewers a better idea as to how all of this is set up, let's take a look at the groups that we have these schools set up in. As you can see, in the South region, we have the University of Arizona, Arizona State University, UCLA, University of Southern California, and Washington State University.
Then over there on the north side, we have the University of Colorado, University of Oregon, Oregon State University, Stanford, and the University of Utah.
Yeah, and looking ahead at that schedule, we'll pull it up on your screen here. You can see tonight we'll be watching as Colorado and Oregon State go head-to-head in their best-of-3 this evening. They have not played each other yet, so this will be the first time we see them matched up against one another. And then, of course, we look forward to you joining us on Monday for another League of Legends matchup with more to follow.
Tonight should be interesting. It's been a week since we've seen either of these 2 teams, and it'll be a chance at redemption for both teams because on Valentine's Day, OSU fell to Utah and Colorado fell to the University of Oregon right after. Both of them pretty convincing losses.
Yeah, neither the Beavers nor the Buffaloes want to go hunted down, if you may, to 0-2 tonight. And so either OSU matches their rivals, University of Oregon, either OSU matches their rivals at the 1-1 record, or, of course, they fall, granting Colorado their first match win of the PACG League of Legends spring season.
All right, so let's take a look at our lineups for tonight. Introducing Oregon State University Beavers. On the top lane, we have Zoologist, Reincarnation in the jungle. Best Sniper Africa in the mid lane with Ascended Narwhal on AD carry and Svoboda supporting him.
Yeah, and then in the top lane for Colorado, we've got Ragnar the Sexy, Vertex in the jungle, I Am Order in mid with Dapper Dave on AD carry supported by Jin James.
Now, this is going to be really interesting, I think, because you and I have had the chance to talk a lot about the team comps that these guys have and the different styles that they have as well. And it should be a very dynamic game where we see one of these teams kind of taking control as opposed to a more even match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they have planned for the draft. We're ready here for Champion Select. As you can see on your screen, again, this is the first game of our best-of-3 this evening between Colorado and Oregon State. What do you expect to see come out from the bands?
From the bands, honestly, I wanna see some of those bot lane, the shielding supports band. Those are some favorites for Jin James, and we also know that Oregon State's Svoboda played those kind of supports, played a great Janna game. Lulu was really contested in their match against the University of Utah, so I think I want to see a couple of those leaving here. But it does look like they go on the opposite side for the Gangplank ban. I think that's a good one just overall in terms of top lane picks. Getting rid of Gangplank is a good idea.
Yeah, and we saw a Gangplank banned against this team in both games when Oregon State played University of Utah last week. So it's definitely something you don't want to hand over to Zoologist. Gnar, in a similar fashion, is strong actually for both of these top laners. So taking it off the table early is pretty important for either one of these teams.
Now, the Thresh ban over there, I think that's really wise. I believe it was banned in their last series as well. Let me double check that here. It was indeed in the first game. They did ban Thresh the first time, but now a Malzahar ban. I think that's going to be actually that has a lot, I think, to do with best sniper's playstyle.
Okay.
Where he likes the likes of Ezreal and Corki and things like that have kind of the range and need to be able to move around and poke from a distance. Malzahar's ultimate completely shuts that down, and so I think that's more of a strategy ban rather than a snipe.
Yeah, I mean, if he's more comfortable into or playing as or into the longer range matchups, then you'll want to see that adaptation. Now we're done with the first round of bans. We'll have to see what Colorado wants to first pick here. I imagine, like we've seen in drafts before, it'll be jungle, AD carry, or support that'll come through in the first phase for both of these teams. We'll see what the highest priority is. It's going to be that Nunu, the Yeti rider. Willump, of course, is the name of Nunu's Yeti.
For sure. And now, I'm curious. I know that he's been buffed to the point where he's really good in the jungle, especially if you get laners more than just your bot lane, but your mid laner and even top. If you get someone who has a lot of auto attacks, he can really help everywhere. But I've also seen support Nunus coming in, and I wonder if that might be, especially if you pair it with a Varus, as I was about to say.
The on-hit Varus is really, really strong, and stacking the attack speed for lethal tempo there can be extremely potent late game, but I don't imagine you pick Nunu just for that. They've got to have something else up their sleeve, really strong lanes that can help rotate early, have the early pressure and priority for rotations out of mid and top lane, as well as hopefully bottom lane. The stronger lanes you have, the better Nunu can perform in his own and, of course, the enemy's jungle. That's what he's known for, is his invading and just wreaking havoc in the enemy jungle. Of course, he'll scale, as you mentioned, helping with attack speed. But I imagine, Azir is open. I'm not as familiar with I Am Order's champion pool. I did see that he's used to, well, at least last week, we saw him playing more of the range, right? He played Corki and then he played Annie. So he's used to either burst potential rather than what is the DPS that would come from a champion like Azir. But Azir is open. We can see now second ban phase coming through. AD carry still up for Oregon State. That means Colorado can look to put a couple of bans there, but we'll have to see how this plays out.
I think that's really interesting because Oregon State banned an AD carry themselves. And I think only one of them, though. So it's interesting that they ban an AD carry, then don't pick one. That's going to be a really easy pinch. But it does appear that everyone's trying to pinch the mid lane. We've got Corki and Orianna being the first round of bans in phase number 2. And it's curious to me. I don't know that I understand that quite fully.
Well, there's not a lot left in the mid lane for either of these squads. So it'll be kind of, well, you said pinched. It'll be really choked up for both of these teams to try and play to that mid lane. It is the quietest role of the current meta, so it shouldn't impact the draft too much, let alone the game for these two squads in game 1. But we'll have to see what each of them has in mind, because the more bans you put there, the less you have available not only for yourself, but of course the other team. So now we're done with the last few bans. A lot of focus put onto the marksman and range. So it looks like Colorado's trying to force Oregon State onto a heavy initiation composition that they've kind of already drafted for themselves. And they say, yes, we're okay playing into that. Play a little bit more of it, and we'll just kite back. The Lucian pick, though, really strong. Most recent patch, he did get buffed. His crit damage on the double shot, crit damage overall, really strong, his AD scaling. So I'm excited to see this. Should be really strong. The Lucian Braum lane
I was just about to say.
Extremely scary to play against in just the 2v2 because it's almost a guaranteed thing that you're going to have all the concussive blows procced if Winter's Bite lands.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially we haven't seen Lucian as a bot lane pick in a really long time, so I'm curious to see what other changes are going to come from his build path, because he would rush the Yomus into the and all of that, but with the changes to lethality and armor pen, I'm pretty sure with the buffs on his passive, he's going to be building into the crit, probably an Essence Reaver first. And now we have the lock-ins over there for Colorado. Mid lane is going to be the Galio, and the top lane will be Shen. Interesting picks here. Those two ultimates going to work in tandem, I think, to really protect whoever is caught out. And that's a lot of damage reduction in the form of effective health with the shield, and then the damage reduction coming from the Galio as well.
Yeah, the Galio is a decent pick here. It's interesting that Oregon goes with Ziggs as their mid laner. Ziggs not a bad champion, not amazing in the current meta, but what's curious to me is picking that into the Galio, considering that Galio is well known for his basic item, his first item that he'll buy, regardless of going the full tank build that we used to see, or the AP build that we're used to seeing more now. You build the Abyssal Mask, which gives you MR and health, survivability, and mana back if you take damage. And all that Ziggs does is throw out bombs and deal damage, magic damage. And so he kind of will be just feeding over, not feeding, but he'll be essentially donating mana consistently to Galio, which will help Galio match the wave clear potential, and make it so that Galio's never going to have to roam with no mana. It's not a terrible idea just for these reasons that I've mentioned, but it is something to think about, that you're not really going to have too much solo lane pressure, knowing that anyway, regardless of the matchup, your opponent's going to be stacking MR early, stacking MR and health.
Yeah, for sure. But it does beg another question. We noticed that I Am Order doesn't do well in the range to melee matchup, though. The last time he played Galio, it was against a Corki, and that actually explains the ban there too, and he did not do so hot. And then even later, after that, he picked Annie into an Orianna.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another reason you pick the Ziggs, is because that Q, that bouncing bomb, does have a lot of range. If you can keep poking out, maybe his dodging skills aren't quite up to par. Another thing that I want to talk about, though, is the Skarner pick into the Nunu, because Nunu was picked first, and then they chose Skarner specifically afterward. I think that has to do with his pillars. The Skarner pillars are going to make him matchable, so if Nunu does invade, if it's going to be on one of those pillars, Skarner's going to have the attack speed and all of those other bonuses to be able to match all of that. Because the thing that makes Nunu such an aggressive counter jungler is because he has his Q and Smite at the same time. It deals enormous amounts of damage and can steal buffs and bigger minions really quickly.
What will be interesting is the idea behind Skarner, at least in the jungle 1v1, is that he can duel the Nunu. Even though Nunu is designed with Ice Blast and his own movement speed to kind of just steal and run away, with the bonus movement speed that Skarner gets with the Spires and, of course, his own shield, he probably won't care that much about getting slowed a little bit, right? Because you're never going to be maxing Ice Blast on Nunu, ever.
No.
And so there's not going to be a ton of slow that comes through, and it doesn't last forever. So what Skarner can still do is duel this Nunu if he shows up, rather than saying, okay, I'm going to start my camp, I'm going to try and farm up a little bit, and if you come in and smite, steal, or consume, steal something away, I'll be sad. Instead of that, he'll say, I'm going to put a ward in the river. As soon as you come in, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to sit here and wait, and as soon as you start something, I'm going to start fighting you.
Right.
And you can't deal with my kind of damage. The attack speed, the movement speed. Generally speaking, Skarner's just going to out-duel the Nunu in the jungle.
For sure. And so I like that pick. I've talked a couple times about how I'm not seeing the full effectiveness of the Skarner or why it's become so popular, but now we're really going to be able to see it's a great pick against the Nunu.
Well, and Nunu's not a champion that's notorious for dealing a lot of damage, and so if Skarner shows up for a counter gank, Skarner's crowd control and greater total damage that he contributes to a counter gank will be a devastating thing for wherever that might happen. Now, that, of course, all of this requires tracking the Nunu in the jungle. If you don't put those wards down, if you don't get the scuttles before Nunu does, then you won't know where Nunu's going to show up. He can get those smite consume steals away, and you're not in a position to be ready to fight him as Skarner. If your cooldowns have all been used in a camp, then yes, you have the extra movement speed and attack speed, but you don't have anything else to help you kind of duel there
save that E.
or stop the steals that could happen from a Nunu.
Yeah.
That's what he's designed to do. Nunu's designed to make you have a sad day in your own jungle.
Yeah, and so I like the Nunu pick. I don't know if it was first pick worthy, but I like the idea behind it, but then I like the counter pick on the Skarner. Another thing that I want to talk about is why they picked the Varus. I know he's strong. The on-hit build, like you were saying, is really powerful. But this guy smashed on Callista at the beginning of their game against University of Oregon.
Yeah.
He was just so oppressive. He got several kills underneath the turret. I wonder if they're going to pull it out this week, or maybe it's just not practiced enough.
I don't think you pick Callista almost ever if they have a Skarner that they've already shown.
That's fair.
Simply because, yes, any AD carry can get pulled. Yes, any AD carry can build QSS. But more importantly, Varus has at least some form of self-peel. His ultimate is massive. Even the E-slow is pretty potent. And so we'll have to see how he plays this out. And, of course, his late-game scaling damage will be a lot. It'll have to be enough to deal for his whole team, though, because he's essentially the main damage threat out of everyone on his team. But here we are, on to Summoner's Rift. This is Game 1 of our one single match today between Colorado and OSU. It is best of 3, so this isn't a one-and-done game.
No.
But both of these teams are looking for their first ever game win, let alone match win here in PACG. Of course, they've only had one matchup each previously, but both of these teams are looking for their first win of any sort here in PACG.
For sure. And I like that it's only 10 gold each, but you get 30 extra gold onto your team, and that's why even OSU down on the bot side, they grabbed it all. They get all that extra gold to start. But it does appear that Zoologist might be hit here. He's going to get slowed from the Q from Shen and take about a little over a third of his hit points, but he does get the ward down. They know where Nunu is. And I want to see an adaptation here from Reincarnation. Instead of trying to go up into his jungle up at the top side where he's losing the buff, I want to see an invade around the Dragon Pit to go get the red buff instead.
That's generally what you'd see is you end up trading sides of the map rather than like north and south. You end up trading east and west. So you'll see if Nunu's not going to run straight for his red right now, then you're just going to see the 2 buff trade on either side of the map rather than trying to stick to, oh, this is my team's side. Because at this point, okay, so Nunu's not actually going straight for his blue. He's walking into red. But there's Smite available for Reincarnation. Yes, there's going to be consumed, but will he even make it there in time? We'll have to see what happens for this jungle.
Almost there. The first person to get from 4 to 8 on that CS is going to be the victor there.
That's a flash, though. You can see ends up making Skarner really low, and he doesn't have flash available.
So the flash forward from I Am Order does net the taunt and the first blood. Fantastic roam there from the Galio in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of pressure you have when you build a composition that's meant to push early to help the Nunu. That's what you open up as an availability for your team. If your Nunu's going to be contesting 1v1s in the jungle almost all the time, then you need to have your solo lanes, especially your solo lanes, pushing out so that they have the freedom to respond and to make a difference there. And you can see now, having blue buff on the Galio early in these levels with first blood gold to boot is going to make a huge difference for what would have otherwise been not a losing matchup, but definitely not a favorable one for him.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, great communication there, because I think that Vertex saw that coming, right? And he said, hey, shove your lane, come help me out. He's probably at my red. Whereas Reincarnation didn't say, hey, best sniper, cover me. You know, make sure this guy doesn't get a good roam. And if he does, follow him so that we can fight. I think another big disadvantage for the Skarner was I think Vertex maybe consumed to heal off of the red buff before going in for the fight, and that's probably what forced the flash, being a ton more healthy than Skarner would have been in that situation.
Well, it's just at these early levels, regardless of what champion you are, you're going to take some damage, if not a ton of damage in the jungle. You can see Reincarnation now doing his own most damaging camp, and down here in this bottom lane, not much really to speak of, but back there at the top lane, you can see Galio and Nunu getting more kills, and Ziggs, of course, out of mana, running away towards his turret. Finally, Camille does show up.
Yeah, she shows up, but Shen is right behind her. It looks like Galio might be going down. His hit points are really low. Best Sniper goes down first. Zoologist does take it down, I Am Order, and it looks like he gets out safe. But yeah, a lot of action up there in the jungle section. Unfortunate, Reincarnation is getting camped. I mean, you can't really camp the guy because he's in the jungle, but he's been pretty ineffective so far. Had you know, the fight and the loss at the red buff, and then back up at the Raptor camp. This Nunu doing real good work here. Vertex showing that it was a great pick to come first.
Yeah, and of course, it's just those extra rotations. Having the priority in mid means that you can rotate through, that you can show up and contest even the Raptor camp.
But now we do see all of that damage. Svoboda landing the first hit of the concussive blows, and Ascendant, just like you said, dashing forward, getting 2 extra auto attacks, putting it up to 4. I want to see a replay of the fight up there in the jungle. We're going to get that pulled up here pretty soon. I'm liking the aggression levels here. Here we go. So Best Sniper Africa does go down here to Vertex. And then up on the top side, we see Camille dodging away. Not too bad. Good stuff from Colorado.
I mean, the good news is Camille gets a kill. And she can pop off. We've seen Camille's become massive in games we've seen here before. And that's kind of the hope right now that OSU has to rest on, because down here in this bottom lane, they're falling a little bit behind in CS. You can see they're at a health disadvantage. And from the mid lane, they're just in trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
The mid-jungle matchup is going so incredibly heavily in favor of Colorado in these early few minutes that they're going to have to regroup. They're going to have to rethink their strategy and reevaluate, really, what they want to do in the middle of the map. Perhaps they want to move towards the top side and be a lot more aggressive with the Camille. Skarner level 6 is all but a guaranteed kill on your target, and so I imagine choosing to go top lane with not only Skarner ultimate, but of course Hextech ultimatum from Camille as well could do a lot, but that requires her actually purchasing items to be able to deal damage first.
Yeah, she was able to get her stopwatch in. We are now 6 minutes into the game, but has just been so... Look at her CS number. She's been ahead and just shoving the lane. So she's going to be able to get a lot back here once she gets into the base. There's the Sheen pickup. I want to say, yep, boots and a sword. A lot of gold going into that. Now I think that we are going to see her just start fighting. Zwala just is an aggressive player. He plays the likes of the Gnar, the Camille, and Kled as well. And so he knows how to go in and fight, whereas Ragnar appears to be more of the less interactive kind of champions. His top played are Nasus and Singed, and even Shen to a degree is that way. But now we see a fight here. Jinjin James is being caught. He does get ulted by Shen, and then another ultimate here to get the knockup from the Galio. He's going to jump in with a Justice Punch, but dealing a lot of damage is Ascended Narwhal. No level 6s, but there are 2 of them for Colorado. The disengage is there.
Yeah,
no kills.
No DPS. We didn't have Dapper Dave's there on the Varus, so he's not able to put out the pain with especially the items he's now purchased for himself. Had he been there for that fight, that's probably a 3-for-0 in favor of Colorado. Not just because of a numbers advantage, but simply by the damage advantage that's there. I mean, there's already the Caulfield in the inventory of the Lucian. You could see he basically wasn't doing enough to create any sort of kill threat in that engagement.
No.
So you can see... though in that fight, that Svoboda really, really tanky. I mean, he took a ton of spells straight to the face, the full duration of Winds of War. There's only so much damage that you can deal to a tanky Braum, and that's at least good news for OSU, because what they're going to need is a strong front line to keep Ziggs and Lucian able to DPS whomever they choose. Now, there's a lot of melees here for Colorado for short-range Lucian, and then, of course, AoE field Ziggs here to be able to damage as long as they're given enough time to do so. The worry, of course, is that either Lucian or Ziggs or both get caught in like Chains of Corruption, and that Varus would be able to DPS down the front line fast enough, which is why I think it's still the best winning strategy here for OSU is to focus, despite the fact that Camille has their first kill, to focus on this top lane. Because if Camille can get big enough that Colorado has to kite back and focus on her, then that could spell disaster for Colorado.
Speaking of disaster, it looks like the Absolute Zero is channeled and almost takes down Lucian. Lucian does go down. Last auto attack gets the concussive blows onto Lulu, but now Svoboda is in a lot of trouble. Dapper Dave picks up a double kill, but now he has to fight Skarner. Flash from Best Sniper, knock up from the ultimate from Lulu, and the taunt. Triple kill now for Dapper Dave. Will they go in? They do have the hit points. It's going to be a quadra kill if they can pick it up. I Am Order taking 4 turret shots. Reincarnation is almost down. I Am Order steals the quadra, but that is still fantastic news for Colorado fans.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, really nice trade there. Great job with Lulu with the wild growth to keep Varus alive. He got the triple kill off of that amazing support play. And of course, his own willingness and confidence to chase through into the enemy jungle, flashing over the wall to be aggressive. Really nice play there from the bottom lane here of Colorado.
Yeah, and we saw Colorado's bottom lane be the reason that they were ahead so far in game number 1 last week. Even though it didn't amount to anything, that is the way they play. And so I want to see again how that fight in the bot lane even got started, because it was just crazy. Blast Cone over, Svoboda throws out the Winter's Bite. They get the stun and the knock-up, but then everybody gets hit with everything. Jin James right there.
Yeah, Vertex doing a good job waiting out the displacement spells to try and get as much damage off as he can, and he survives, giving enough time for the rest of his team to show up, and you can see the nice taunt came through right after the wild growth. But we have a fight in the top lane, just numbers showing up and shutting Zoologist's aggression down.
It looks like that's another Galio ultimate used. It is on cooldown. You gotta be careful with that. That range is nothing to sneeze at. It's very, very large. And so especially when Shen can get you taunted and Nunu can get you slowed, there's no way you're going to get out of that circle if you've already used your hook shot. Oh, but now Jin James looks like he's in trouble. He has to flash away. Ultimate there takes down another chunk of his health, but Dapper Dave there with the disengage and Chains of Corruption.
Interesting choice there by the Lulu to try and contest Dragon. She's not exactly the jungler with Smite or anything like that. More importantly, though, you don't really want to trade your flash for the chance at stealing a Cloud Drake.
No.
It's just getting a little ahead of yourself there. I don't agree with that decision. But luckily, dodging out a lot of ultimates, not just the Glacial Fissure from the Braum, but of course the Mega Inferno Bomb came through as well and missed almost entirely. It caught, I think, the edge there.
Yeah.
But not enough to, like, do any threat. But it does cost both the flash, the wild growth, and of course Chains of Corruption to try and peel for this support, just making a poor decision in the first place. So now they have to wait out those cooldowns before they can fight again, which is kind of unfortunate, like really unfortunate for Colorado, because they've completed Rageblade already. It's only 12 minutes, and they've got the core item for the on-hit Varus, and you'd think, oh, well, it's just one item, it's not that much. But if you can start a fight, and you have a Nunu there to give additional attack speed, and you have Lulu there to give the Whimsy, the Blood Boil Whimsy combo onto an attack speed Lucian is just crazy amounts of damage.
Speaking of crazy amounts of damage here, Zoologist not dealing enough. I Am Order is there to follow up on Vertex's fight with Zoologist, but so is Ragnar. He gets the taunt there. Zoologist almost goes back in with the hook shot, but decides against it. There's a stopwatch pop.
Ooh.
Vertex flashes forward for the absolute zero and takes him out. Another 2 kills for Colorado, the University of Colorado. But we have to keep talking here. Dapper Dave is shut down from a nice ult from Reincarnation, and now Jin James gets hit with a Concussive Blows passive, and that's 2 kills over to OSU out of nowhere.
Man, would have been nice to have your ultimate spells when you get ganked like that. And I don't mean to flame, it's just that's the way it is. If you waste spells in one part, then you're not going to have them when you need them. So you need to think a couple steps ahead if you're Colorado here. They're doing so well across the map as a team and defending well against invades, turning things around and getting kills on the solo laners. Plus, like, just the jungle mid matchup is like smashing right now for Colorado. But bottom lane, despite being up in kills, is not keeping the pressure they need to, because they're making a little bit too wonky of plays. They're not really thinking things through a couple steps ahead. So they need to just take a breath, recognize that they're ahead, and use the spells when it's all but a sure thing to get them some good fights.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exactly the problem that they had in last week's games. Let's take a look again. Let's see if it was maybe them going too aggro.
Yeah, so they're not in any sort of especially compromised position, but what you'll see here is they're willing. OSU's willing to take this fight. Here's Skarner off in the wing. He's got his Predator. He's going to channel it, or at least run super fast. Yeah, he channels the Predator, comes in. There's the exhaust. There's no flash available for either of these, so he gets pulled in. Then he's going to get rooted from concussive blows. There's just no defensive capabilities here from Jin James or Dapper Dave, because they don't have their ultimates to try and peel back or even re-engage. And they don't have their summoner spells either. When you're down that much, then even the slightest amount of aggression, you have to call it back. But now, with your summoner spells back up,
now there was the fight there. It does look like Dapper Dave picks up another kill. Reincarnation is here. He's going to go in onto Dapper Dave, gets the stun, but Jin James has the ultimate right back up. Reincarnation taking a lot of damage, does go down. Svoboda makes it out, but look at all of that Dapper Dave was able to do. Rift Herald also summoned in the mid lane, just going to take out that turret, and wow, looks like they might even be able to take the bot side in addition to... Oh, no, they're on the tier 2 turret.
well, they're just clearing the wave, right? Or is that a bug?
Are they dealing damage?
Yeah, it's a bug on the map.
Okay. I was going to say, they can't... Oh, bummer. I thought they fixed that.
Well.
Anyway, they are dealing damage there onto that one. They have the 2 outside turrets from mid and bot taken out. Congratulations to Colorado on a lot of good fights, but now here we are at 15 minutes. They're 8,000 gold. They need to start being careful. The last 2 notes I've written for Colorado last time and this time are calm down.
Yeah.
Let yourself scale. You have so much potential.
With a 9,000 or at least an 8,000 gold lead here, you have complete control of the game as long as you actually have your hands at the controls, right? If you just take whatever fights you think you can in the random moments and random positions, that's the recipe for throwing. And we saw that last week. You mentioned that they just need to calm down. It's that take a deep breath. You've got yourself this lead. Now don't throw it. 50 CS on 80 carry, close CS numbers on everyone else, and then, of course, massive gold lead from kills in the first turret. That's first brick, first blood, 13-3. We're only 16 minutes in here, and Varus is approaching his second attack speed item. And we talked about how he's the main damage threat. If he can get more and more items, team fights is where Colorado's going to do extremely well. They just got to keep Varus alive and bait engagements or start some of their own. You know, have people wait in the wings and expect the Predator to come through here. The Skarner going to be hunting down Dapper Dave, and then just show up right when Skarner thinks he's got a good engage. Use the Lulu to peel back, and that is the perfect kind of fight that Colorado wants to look for here. But if they don't, we might see what we saw last week, which was 10,000 gold being thrown away. Almost, I mean, you'd say 20,000 being thrown away, because they went from a 10,000 gold lead, approaching a 10,000 gold lead, to almost a 10,000 gold deficit last week.
Now we are in the fight. Zoologist does manage to flash away. Dapper Dave has enough damage, though, to pick it up on the back side. Best Sniper Africa is in a lot of trouble. Absolute Zero gets interrupted with the satchel charge, and now Skarner takes the blast cone away. We saw him leap on the minimap. He is going to make it out, but not good news here for OSU. They're in a bad position. It looks like Galio still wants to fight. Gets a taunt onto Svoboda, who is in a really compromised position now. Ascended Narwhal might try to save him. He is in range for the stand behind me to get him back. Winds of War not going to land, and now OSU have to defend this turret, but they are just so tanky on the side of Colorado.
Yeah, and that's one tanky support. That Braum position was really compromised, and he's able to get away with a stand behind me. It gives him a lot of resists, of course, and then he throws up the Unbreakable to make sure he takes even less damage. So he gets out, even without his flash. Good on him. And then, of course, Best Sniper, I like that you mentioned his satchel charge. Canceled an ultimate and created the distance to make sure he didn't get knocked up by I Am Order. So we'll have to see how the rest of this plays out, because we just said it was 13-3. It's now 14-3, and they got their second turret. But that was a little messy from both these teams, though. So taking stock, we're still massively up in gold from the 80 carry position here for Colorado. The gold is all from kills and... Okay, so I was just about to talk about mid lane, how he's up mostly just from kills and assists. Not really a CS advantage. But there's another one for him. I Am Order, this Galio that did not perform in Game 1 of their matchup last week, doing work here along with the Nunu.
Ooh, and speaking of the Nunu, he is going to dodge out the Mega Inferno Bomb. Bummer he had to use his flash, but good that he did survive. You don't want to give that shutdown gold over. He's got a lot on him. That bounty's pretty huge, but now this is going to be a great Drake for them.
Yeah, it's nice to get their second dragon, which is what you would think unheard of against a Nunu that's 3-0 and 8. For you to be able to get 2 neutral objectives like that is pretty crazy. But I want to talk about what just happened, what we just saw Nunu, what happened to him, because that's token of, once again, what would spell success for OSU. Is Colorado's seeming inability thus far to decide to group as 5, right?
Speaking of, the concussive blows does net a shutdown there. They're going to knock up Shen. Ragnar is now the target. He's got 4 sets of concussive blows, and it looks like Zoologist wants to get Jin James. He is now the target of reincarnation. They get the slow, and Zoologist is going to pick up a kill. Shen is now running straight into Ziggs. It is a 3v1, and there it is, the beginning of the end for Colorado, maybe.
Oh, man, it's so frustrating to watch because they've been playing so well, but then they overstay like that.
Oh, that minion was a hero. But now a lot of damage from Dapper Dave. Bouncing Bomb does not land. Skarner is here. Ascended Narwhal, the flash forward from Best Sniper. He gets the Ignite down. No, not enough damage here.
No Ignite, just going to be the reduced healing, the grievous wounds. But as you can see, if Vertex had been there for those original engages, or they had a... Whoa, nice flash!
He gets it off the back end of the Absolute Zero. Now Vertex is getting the ultimate from Galio. He is there, and they are coming right back, picking up 3 unanswered kills after losing 3.
I mean, overstay into overstay, right? Colorado gets caught because they overstayed in the top lane, and then, of course, too much aggression, flashing under turrets and whatnot for OSU, but now that we're past the 20-minute mark, only barely, there's question mark pings going down from OSU. Are they doing the Baron? They are indeed. You can see they're actually doing it really fast with the attack speed Varus build, excuse me. There's really nothing for OSU to do.
Nope.
They had all recalled, and that's going to be a quick Baron. 20 minutes straight off the bat.
And that's gorgeous. That's what we want to see. We already know that Nunu can do it solo, but the fact that Varus is there with the Ardent Sensor coming from Lulu and the Whimsy and everything like that. But this solo is amazing. Ragnar is going to get hit by 2, 3, and 4. He is stunned up, but those minions being the saviors, he pops the stopwatch, and I Am Order is there to save his life. Fantastic play from Ragnar.
Yeah, that was really nice. His use of stopwatch saved enough time for Order to show up with his teleport. He didn't have Hero's entrance to just show up, but it saved him enough time to not die to the 3-man that he had gotten. He was creating enough pressure that he pulled those people over, which opens up a little bit of extra room here in the mid lane for Colorado to push up with Baron buff. You can see they've got this chokehold. They can block them out from this rotation, meaning they're going to get some decent damage on the first little bit here on this turret. We'll see if they decide to stick around.
Now there's the Mega Inferno Bomb. It can't even really clear the wave. Baron buff doing a lot of work there for Colorado. But now they do have the full team there to try and clear out the wave. They've got to be really careful, though, because Shen is a fantastic split pusher with that Tiamat and the Baron buff, and Galio already takes the bottom turret. They're out of turrets that are not inside their base.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race here for Colorado. They've already got a massive 13,000 gold lead. If that was evenly split among all 5 members, Ultimate misses there.
Yeah.
But if that was evenly split, you can look at these numbers now. Thank you, observers. We've got 4,000 to 5,000 on the mid and 80 carry. But a fight breaks out.
The Ultimate stops the Absolute Zero channel. Everyone is locked into the Ultimate from Zoologist, but the shields are just so massive on Jin James. He had 3 health bars. I Am Order jumps in, gets the knock up onto Reincarnation. Zoologist is now going to be on the backside. Best Sniper is going to try and fight everyone away. Zoologist makes it through the base gate, but gets hit with the snowball. He is down to almost dead. A shutdown coming over for Best Sniper. Not so tanky Galio anymore.
Yeah, and you almost forget which sides of the map these characters are supposed to be on. As you see, OSU members recalling in the bottom part of their topside jungle, and it ends up being that Colorado here with the Baroned up minions are right at the turrets, tanks doing work. You mentioned how the Shen is huge. Then, of course, just 3-0-13 Nunu. Lots of armor, lots of health. There's only so much you can do.
But now Zoologist is very strong, has that Trinity Force. Svoboda is on the way. That's another knock-up. Zoologist almost gets the kill. There it is, shut down onto Vertex. The exhaust is there. Concussive blow is going to proc now. True damage coming out of Zoologist's Q. Best Sniper Africa throws it in. Zoologist does get the knock-up. Mega Inferno Bomb deals half of Jin James' hit points. Gets the slow from the W. Zoologist is amazing, but gets shut down by the Varus. Dapper Dave saving his support, and they still can't get that outside turret.
They had the last moment there.
We are still fighting. Dapper Dave does go in, gets the 1v2. Ultimate from Gallo. They've got to be careful here. No knock-up from the hero's entrance. Ascended Narwhal trying to throw out the culling, and they have to run away now.
Yeah, I mean, very well played by both these teams in that fight. The aggression from Zoologist is what we need to see if they're going to get back in this at all. And then, of course, Jin James, the last-second wild growth to save his own life and bait him in. That means Camille falls, and then Dapper Dave playing as aggressively as you need to see him playing. He needs to play smart aggression, but he knows his team is with him, so he's willing to take those fights. Nice play there by Dapper Dave. He's going to have to make sure that between now and when his flash, or at least his ultimate, comes back up, he has to play smart. This is not smart.
This is not smart. He is caught in the Hextech ultimatum. Zoologist gets the shutdown. Svoboda is there to try and get onto Jin James. Ascended Narwhal is close. That's a Winter's Bite onto I Am Order, who turns around, dodging out with the Relentless Pursuit, but it takes so much damage. Skarner needs to be careful not to use his ult on the wrong target, because He is the tanky guy. It is used.
Anyone right now is a decent target. As long as Ascended Narwhal doesn't die to Winds of War, then this is taking down a key member. It's likely a shutdown, and that's going to be some gold that goes back over. At this point, OSU just wants anything that they can get, and so good pick there. Nice fight. I like that Ascended Narwhal doesn't get like greedy and get close during the channel of stopwatch, because that's the worst thing that you can do is have your whole team there ready to kill someone, definitely guaranteed to kill, and then for you to essentially donate something back over. So I like the discipline there from Narwhal to stay back, even though I'm sure he has 1, 3, and 6 at this point. He would love to have that kill gold.
For sure. And this is the discipline that OSU needs to show. They need to understand that there are still ways to come back in this game. Gold is only gold for so long, and so they're scaling up. Camille is insane in a 1v1 or even 1v2 depending on the champions, and then Skarner with that Predator is so quick. It is scary.
Yeah, and you mentioned gold is only gold for so long. It's that when we were last talking about the gold lead, it was 13-3 in kills with about an 8,000 gold lead. That gold lead has ballooned to about 13,000 now, but you can see the kills, most of that gold is coming over from turrets, and when those are gone, you can't get them again. The kills you can, and when you have a static increase of kills from both sides, what that tells you is equal gold is being contributed to both these teams. And when that's the case, it's whichever team is behind is getting the better end of the deal. Barring, of course, the turret gold, it's bad news for Colorado to be taking fights that go 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, because essentially that gives extra time to OSU to come back into this. I don't know if a blue buff is worth your life, though.
He does have the flash. Ragnar does not have the shadow dash to further that engage, so he has to use the ultimate and the flash to get that blue buff, but he does get it, and he escapes with his life. Nice work from Best Sniper, but now Svoboda is alone on the bot side there. Reincarnation fighting I Am Order. Camille does get the turret up on the top, and now Ragnar is in a bad spot. Jinjin James super low. Bouncing bomb there. If only the Mega Inferno Bomb was available. And now it is just fighting after fighting. Everyone wants a piece. A great unbreakable. Lulu's ult goes off in the back. Vertex is going to channel his own. Somehow kill onto Zoologist. Svoboda doesn't have any more damage reduction. There's going to be a taunt onto I Am Order. The Best Sniper is going to go down. It is now a 2v5. Dapper Dave is carrying this game super hard. He's got so many attacks flying out everywhere. Red buff on that turret. It is going to go down, and the mid inhibitor is already under fire. Great play.
I don't think that they can end just yet. They could go for it and like try, but they still got low health bars, low mana bar, especially on the Lulu. She can't do too much. Yes, they are going to back off. Likely look for another Baron push into the top lane. If they can get that, it probably spells success out as almost a guaranteed thing here for Colorado. Finally, they group up as 5, take a good fight, don't lose a single member, take multiple members down, and of course break the base wide open with 2 inhibitors in their favor. That's what we want to see. This could be a catch, though.
Oh, the flash for the taunt, Winds of War. I Am Order with the Justice Punch, picks it up. Svoboda, don't go in there. You need to leave Polymorph to help Reincarnation go down, and now they do want to go fight. Svoboda is ready, his ultimate almost off cooldown. Zoologist has everything, Best Sniper has everything. They need to be really careful, though, how they do this.
Yeah, it's scary to pace check. You don't have your jungler.
So the ultimate is there. Oh, Ragnar almost down. Dapper Dave takes a significantly reduced amount of damage because of the Lulu ultimate, but now they're going to continue to go for this Baron. They're baiting it first, but I think that they're really going to go for it. No Mega Inferno Bomb means the chance of a steal is very low. Zoologist goes in 1v3, goes to the ultimate there. Another knockup from Galio is going to hit, and Zoologist goes down to the Baron damage, and now they are... Oh, Ragnar needs to be careful, because Baron deals damage to everybody. And now I Am Order going to hit Best Sniper Africa and take him down. No kills still for OSU. It went from 22 to 30 in the last couple of minutes. Lucian just stuck on base duty, clearing minions underneath the Nexus turrets.
Yeah, he's just on base defense, tower defense, right, is kind of how that has to go for him. This is the take a deep breath, Colorado, wait it out, bring everybody top lane, and I like this choice, of course, by Reincarnation to try and clear out this wave. If they show up with Baron, all these minions become very, very difficult to kill, so smart move, even if it's a little risky to be out here this far. you're pretty tanky. You've got a lot of move speed. This is the time to run, of course, now. But clearing out those minions ahead of time can buy your team some time, as long as you don't give your life for it. But it looks like he will.
He's going to.
So much slowing.
Everything is slowing. The Nunu E's, the Varus E's, the Lulu slows, all of it. And now all the rest of OSU needs to go up to this top side and try and stop this siege. They need to be really careful, though. They're almost down one Nexus turret, and that's a wave already pushing in on the bot side. Mega Inferno Bomb deals a decent amount of wave clear. Vertex just wants in. He is stunned underneath the turret, taking a lot of damage, but the Locket stops all of that, getting a nice big shield. Dapper Dave even taking turret shots because he doesn't care. They are so far ahead. They're going to take this third inhibitor. Zoologist still fighting there. The dash does not land. Ragnar the Sexy trying to get in. And now Zoologist up on the front lines. Best Sniper trying to poke him out in the backside, but the minions are going to win this game alone. Zoologist is really low, needs to get out with the hook shot. Now Reincarnation is alive, gets hit with the Justice Punch, he gets taunted, and now the fight is there. Ragnar the Sexy gets another kill, the knockup from Braum. Dapper Dave unstoppable, the Nexus turrets do go down. There's a Justice Punch in, Zoologist is going to be killed, and the Nexus with him, and that's the end of game number 1. Victory for Colorado.
Jeez, and a convincing win. 20,000 gold, 11 turrets. That's all the turrets possible to just one that OSU takes away. Really convincing performance here by Colorado. We mentioned what their kind of hiccups are along the way, and I'm going to be really looking close for those in game number 2, because if Colorado can play this well, accrue that kind of, by that I mean accrue a gold lead of massive proportions, then what I need to see from them is being smarter with it.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, they do get the Nexus, but I don't want to see them gifting over some kills, overstaying like they did in top lane.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
No.
You just need to take it slow and simple. Honestly, the cleanest part of Colorado's play that game was coming into and including the last Baron there.
Yes.
Where they slowly along the way played to their vision, caught someone out, backed up a little bit, tried to catch someone out. And then they have no health bars, they have no jungler. All right, fine. Now we can do the Baron. They start up the Baron. They say, you're either going to lose the Baron to us because you have no jungler. You can't really contest it in terms of a steal, a smite steal. Not going to happen. Besides, we have a Nunu.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really a bad problem anyway. And then on top of that, they say, you can't steal it, so you either fight us or you give it up. And you don't want to give it up, so come fight us with less numbers. And then they back away. They immediately peel away from the Baron as soon as Camille came in. So nice play overall. Team play, clean, playing to the objective, playing to their strengths, and playing to just the map in general. I want to see more of that from Colorado in Game 2 if they're going to take this 2-0 and show that last week was a fluke for them and that they really are as strong as that first 10K gold lead got them in Game 1 last week.
Precisely. And I talked about how Dapper Dave was their main source of lead in their games last week, and he showed it here too.
Yeah.
You know, there was great play coming out of the jungle, but Dapper Dave just wrecked that bottom lane.
Yeah, it's really good to know that if you draft a composition that relies on that player being able to do damage, that he can step up. They drafted essentially all damage is Varus, a little bit from the mid lane, especially because he got ahead, made it really easy to see that Galio could do damage too. But Varus just catapulting himself into multiple items, being able to DPS multiple people with the Rune on Hurricane. If it weren't, I think, for Braum and the spell Unbreakable, putting up that shield, he probably would have gotten a pentakill a couple times that game. Just so much damage. If we could look at like damage mitigation stats, I bet you Braum was like, I mitigated 5 billion.
It was a lot, definitely.
Because he was just mitigating so much one way or another simply because there's so much damage coming out from this Varus. So really well played, absolutely, by Dapper Dave. We'll be right back with more League of Legends action in just a moment. Game 2 coming your way. This is University of Colorado versus Oregon State University. Game 2, 1 game up for Colorado. We'll be right back with more League of Legends action after this break. Welcome back to more League of Legends action here on PACG. We're now going to get into our second match of the evening, second game of the first match, excuse me. This is going to be Colorado's second game against OSU. They just took a very convincing win, 20,000 gold lead up over Oregon. So coming into the second match, we're looking to see more of the same from Colorado or to see if OSU can bounce back. I mean, we've seen OSU play well, play to their strengths, and put up a strong fight against other teams. This is, of course, the first time we're ever seeing these two teams matched up, and it did seem pretty convincing for Colorado, but I don't think all hope is lost by any means for OSU.
No, not at all, especially because of the way they were fighting in the mid-game.
Yeah.
You know, when Colorado was starting to lose fights, when they went from only, 8 kills up to... 18 kills up to 8, where they just fed here and there, losing 2, losing 3, tying up and giving a chance for OSU to come back. And
yeah.
So
I want to see if there's going to be any changes to the draft. Let's get that on your screen. Here we are, pick and ban phase here. Game 2, Oregon State University versus Colorado. This is going to be interesting to see how this goes. Immediately, Dapper Dave's Varus is banned out.
I like it. I like that ban. It was the biggest problem. You and I talked off screen that no, it was actually on screen that Dapper Dave is their guy. He is the exact reason they were winning that game. A lot of good pressure coming from Vertex, a nice win from IM Order in the mid lane, but Dapper Dave just smashed that bot lane.
I mean, they drafted to that effect, right? They picked the Varus, and they picked the Nunu. The Nunu really, really early. Nunu, Lulu, first 2, right? And so to be able to have that level of support for a marksman that's built to scale in that particular way, with attack speed in particular, then all of the ducks were in a row for Colorado.
Well,
I know it's not even like any of these mascots, but
no.
Just the saying itself. All of I don't even know another saying that's.
Well, it was close enough anyway because Oregon is the Ducks, and
yeah,
so
anyway. I don't know. They don't want you calling that. These are rival teams.
That's
right,
true.
Oregon,
That's
so
true.
They're like wrong team.
They don't want to put all their eggs in the basket, in the wrong basket. They want them all spread out.
All their sticks in the dam.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that because they are the beavers.
But it would be the other. So all of the
deer and the antelope on the plains, right? Because they're the buffalo.
Yeah, all of the buffaloes in the same grazing pasture. I don't even know.
I love it.
But these bans are really interesting. They're telling us a story, and that story is no more 80 carry. Dapper Dave, we're shutting you down. 2 bans really quickly, and now we've got first pick for Oregon State. We'll have to see if they decide to pick away an 80 carry, leave it up, and they're going to steal away the Nunu. That's really interesting to me because as an analyst by trade, I'm not really sold on the idea that it was Nunu that made the huge difference there. It was a snowball, an ice blast, a snowballing early game that just set them up for success, where Skarner just really had nowhere to go. And it wasn't just because of the Nunu pick, it was because of how the game played out in early. And so if you can just not make the same early game mistakes, the Nunu's not that much of a problem anymore. Especially if Nunu's main claim to fame was, I'm relatively deathless for most of the game, and I Blood Bowl the 80 carry who's fed out of his mind.
Yeah.
So if that's the claim to fame, is being a support champion, and it relies on a damage dealer being fed, we might not see the same story evolve for this Nunu that we saw from Colorado last game. But if Colorado wants a backline 80 carry that can DPS down, they've already drafted that.
Grabbing that Caitlyn, long range, high damage on the Q and the auto attacks, building the crits, getting headshots, all of that. It is a lot of damage. Caitlyn is a great pick here. Not going to attack as fast as the Varus, especially because of his passive and the lack of the Nunu for the Blood Boil. But pairing it with Lulu is also still very, very strong. Whimsy giving attack speed, shields, the extra hit points, and setting up nice trap placement with the Glitter Lance. But now it almost looks like Oregon State is trying to take everything that was a problem last game and either ban it or pick it, because there's the Galio in the mid lane.
Interestingly enough, it's kind of sneaky what Oregon State has been doing here. None of these 3 champions are really champions that I'm used to seeing these players particularly choose, whether that be in their solo queue match history or even here in PACG. But these are all high priority picks in their respective roles for Colorado, for sure. So they're all just stolen away. So it's 3 good bans, 3 steal away picks, and we'll have to see if they could play them to the level that they're going to need to make it worth stealing away from Colorado.
For sure. And now we see the Cassiopeia locked in, going directly into the Galio. I think that's on purpose. The high amount of burst and consistent damage that Cassiopeia can do will be able to break the magic shield that he gets and continue to whittle down that not quite as tanky build as Galios have been building.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out in the mid lane. We still have yet to see what Colorado's jungler will be, which is why we're seeing top lane and probably either another top lane or a jungle ban for the last one here from Oregon. I want to see what difference, say, an early game jungler like Sejuani. Banned away.
Not that one.
All right, so I was trying to call it, trying to give Colorado some more tools for success, but Oregon calls it. There's not a lot left in the jungle. There's the Skarner and the Zac of those higher tier picks. I don't think that Skarner worked that well for them, so I don't think they go back to it.
Well, and you see, it's going to be Colorado picking now, so maybe they can do exactly what Oregon State does and say, well, no, they don't. I was going to say they pick it anyway and prove that it is a viable pick, but instead they do pick the Zac. I think that there's better engage potential and a lot better interactions with these laners in particular. Cassiopeia being able to immediately combo on Zac's crowd control. If he gets a good let's bounce and drops people right in front of Cassiopeia, that's a great ult. Miasma, they can't flash away. All sorts of things. You know, Yordle snap traps there. I think that it's a little bit better.
Well, and on top of that, you can wild growth the Zac afterwards if he's still in the middle of all of them. So you get the let's bounce, pulls everybody in front, and then you get Miasma plus Petrifying Gaze. Everybody's still stuck there. Really stuck there, and then wild growth right as soon as they come out of Petrifying Gaze, if at all, and then they're still CC. That's like 5 seconds of crowd control for multiple members in AoE. But of course, that requires a lot of setup and a lot of disciplined communication to say, all right, we're not stacking our CC, we're layering it one after the other. So, but the total team composition here for Oregon State looks amazing to me. I am liking it. The Nunu definitely going to make a difference here. There's multiple members that can make use of his Blood Boil, even though you might not think it. If Jinx isn't actually there, then Blood Boil is actually a really useful spell for either of these melees, the support and the mid lane. Yes, they don't need attack speed, but the movement speed can make a huge difference for Galio. And even for Thresh, if he's got Moby Boots and I was going to say Bullet, because that's essentially how fast he'll be moving. If he's got Moby Boots and Blood Boil, he moves as fast as a bullet and he just runs right at you. And he can dodge out spells and probably hook a priority target.
It's going to give you ability power as well, which is also very good, especially for the Galio. It's going to help even the Gnar, because his W, that hyper passive, it's going to deal % health damage based on ability power. So that's going to be really nice.
Yeah, but exciting to me, I want to talk about this last pick here as it's now swapped up to the top lane. Ragnar the Sexy. He is all but a one-trick on this champion, the Kled.
Yeah, I talked about this with you a lot because it's also a zoologist pick. They both play the Kled, and I am super stoked because Ragnar plays it more, and like you said, is all but a one-trick. He has so many games on this. I think it's been his Season 7 and 8 highest played champion. It's a lot, and Kled is so much fun to watch, so much fun to cast. He's insanely fun to play too if you take the time to learn how to do that. I love it. I love watching Kled, and especially in the hands of someone who is as experienced on the champion as Ragnar is going to be.
Yeah, and they can just charge at you. That's another exciting thing about what Colorado has drafted here. Oregon State's team fighting composition is amazing. They want fights to slowly break out. They don't want them to immediately start. But the interesting thing is they're okay with being engaged upon too.
Oh,
Oregon
for sure.
State. Because if Colorado just uses charge and everybody runs at them, Galio gets probably a 5-man knockup, right? And he gets to keep everybody really, really tanky for the duration of that ultimate. But if Galio's ultimate is down, if he's not ready, or if he's the one who gets picked off, that story is completely different.
Oh, for sure. I think that what Best Sniper needs to be able to do is get ready with the taunt. Because if they do jump on, Kled is unstoppable until the cast is there. Once he jumps, But if everyone is following behind, if he can get a good taunt on 3 or 4, Jinx can get some nice hits as well as Gnar and maybe get excited for the AD carry and just start picking people off. Because the only really tanky one is going to be the Zac. You build hit points on Kled so that Skarl gets all those extra hit points and it makes you durable, but there won't be as many resistances. He's going to build damage, the likes of the Sterex Gauge and the Black Cleaver, those type of things to get all his hit points up. So if he can get a good taunt, then all the damage going to be coming out of the Gnar and the Jinx is going to be explosive.
You know, but it seems there's a lot of zone control from the Nunu. You don't really think about it that much, but what Nunu can do in team fights is not just, okay, Blood Boil the AD carry and kind of back off. It's that you ice blast people who are trying to get back to your back line, and then when you feel safe to do so, or even just cuz, then you start channeling Absolute Zero. And the slow there is insane. It's massive. And so to be able to create the... and it only slows the enemies, of course, so Jinx can still be running at you as the AD carry to chase you down, especially if she gets excited off of a quick burst down of a target, then she's going to run down Colorado very quickly. Because they're mostly squishy champions. You mentioned most of them are just going to be building health. Zac's going to be the only tank. And Lulu, yes, can wild growth and shield and stuff like that, but there's only so much you can actually add in terms of quasi-hit points with the wild growth and the shields to keep people healthy if they are not building resists, they're not building their own other tank items. I expect that Cassio will have to build. Like, no questions asked, will have to build an Hourglass.
Yeah, that and a Seraph's Embrace I think will be really important. That extra shield, and plus she's going to be spamming the Twin Fangs anyway, needing the extra mana. Another cool interaction I want to see, how long does Nunu's ult channel?
It's like 3 seconds.
Is it 3?
Yeah, it's forever.
If you can see the Kled start the charge, I would put your AD carry right next to Nunu and just start the ult. So when Kled jumps in and gets the knock-up, he will immediately be bursted by 3 seconds of full channel.
Yeah, that
could be fun.
That's a smart deterrent, but here we are, loaded on to Summoner's Rift. This is the second game of our match this evening between Colorado and OSU. Colorado had a convincing 20,000 gold lead win in just over 25 minutes.
Yeah, it was quick.
This was a quick match, a very quick snowball in their favor. I'm not sure exactly what to expect out of these two teams for this second game, but Colorado, with their first win, first PACG win of a game under their belt now, they've got to feel confident coming into game 2.
And as they should, because I think their problem last week was the demoralizing decline that they had. Everything was going so well and then just went so wrong. And then the next game, I think they just couldn't recover. Now that we've seen them win, it was in the same exact fashion. It was pressing your advantages early, getting the fights, getting your AD carry fed. That's exactly what they did last week. But this time, OSU wasn't able to come back in during that mid-game slump.
Ooh.
But this is not good for OSU. They want to start the exact same invade that was done on them, and Colorado calls it. I want Vertex is ready with that slingshot.
They're hunting rabbits.
And here it is.
Everybody quiet.
That's the knock-up into Bear Trap on the rope, getting all the damage down onto Zoologist. He's going to try and flash the wall. He is going to make it out, but that's a flash burn. Nunu now going to be really behind. I wonder, why is he's staying there? He still wants to get the smite. And he does it. He does manage to pick it up. If he does not get crowd controlled too much, Reincarnation is going to flash the wall, but 2 follow-up flashes and the Elastic Slingshot. Reincarnation goes down. First blood to I Am Order on the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's just going to happen there. It is kind of cheeky to turn around and try and do the steal. You're definitely going to steal it, no questions asked, but will you make it away? And I like that Colorado's willing to expend their flashes. They're like, fine, you know what? But you've got nowhere to go now, and we're going to chase you down. And they donate that over to I Am Order in mid. Cassio without a flash is relatively gankable, but not really by a Nunu.
No, and especially a Nunu without a flash.
Yeah.
It's just...
Or a red buff.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that he's going to be able to secure his own jungle.
You know, he doesn't have his smite back up. Zac actually does manage to pick up that camp. We do see he is at the 4 CS. That does come with that. And you're right. I don't think Nunu has pressure or anything enough to be able to run there. Although he might get a little bit of time. No, Zac does not stop on those Raptors. Wise choice. They deal a lot of damage early on in the game. And now we're just going to have to see he can get his own red buff, but he won't be able to get a blue.
Well, he might be able to. You can see that bottom lane is really pushed in here for Colorado. That's by design. Caitlyn's really good at shoving. She's really strong. If she can just shove this into turret, keep it right about where it's at, then they have lane priority to rotate in if Zach wants to contest this red buff. Now, they don't have any vision on Nunu at the moment, so they can't be certain if he just went straight to red after losing blue or if he's on his way like he actually is. But you can see Lulu's going to look for a ward into Tribrush. Okay, so she doesn't choose to invade any further. If we're this closer to like throw play, you might actually see, because Cassiopeia has pressure in mid, because they have pressure in bottom, you might see Lulu actually running in to ward the red to find out if, at the very least, the red's already done, or if they can actually contest. But we're going to see a recall here from Zach. He's done a miniature rotation of his jungle. But interestingly enough, despite losing the first blood, Nunu's back up in farm.
Yeah, he gets that Raptor camp. He does block the vision from the ward with a quick control ward, but they still know he's there, and now they really know he's there because he went back and took the ward out. And now they know that he took the time to do that, and Zach is a little too far away, and bot has a good position. I don't think they want to go and invade on the red, but it's, you know, you're just giving more and more information away the more Nunu is going. He does get that camp really quick, though.
He's going to be standing on a ward, though, and you should already know this. Here comes the Lantern. Nice hook.
Oh, he does land it Flay right into the Jinx traps, gets hit with the zap. Flashing away from an auto attack is never going to work. The red buff and the ice ball are going to get great slows. There's a kill in mid lane. Meanwhile, flash away from for Jinjin James, but the ice ball is still there. They do not manage to pick up the kill, but a great gank from Reincarnation with the assistance of Svoboda.
Svoboda there on the Thresh. Beautiful play. Nice death sentence after pulling the Dark Passage in. He gets Nunu to show up. We're going to take a look at mid, but man, the Thresh play, I'm excited to see more of it. Let's take a look at what happened in mid. The solo kill here in favor of Galio.
I think it was just a little bit of over-aggression from I am Order. He has the movement speed on his keystone and everything like that, so he probably just went in a little too far, a little too quickly. Here we go. Best Sniper is underneath this turret. I am Order getting a little close. Oh, no, it was because of the teleport. He gets Ignite down with the full Winds of War. He's just in there fighting flash forward for the final Winds of War. Nice play from Best Sniper.
Yeah, I mean, he interrupts the teleport, has to play really carefully because he almost dies to the tick damage from Cassiopeia. It gets down to about 150, 200 health, but then, of course, turns it back around. He has his flash because Order had used it early on to secure first blood. Still going to be a gold lead in just the mid 1v1 for Cassiopeia. She's got the tier. She's going to be stacking that up. She's in an okay spot. Nothing really terrible in dying in that 1v1. Of course, you'd rather not, but
yeah, for sure.
It's not disastrous by any means.
No. And you know what? Good on Best Sniper. He has that unsealed spellbook, picking up the Ignite. I believe he started the game with the teleport, and, you know, swapping that over for the aggression and, you know, being able to use it. Here we go again. Just playing here on the bot side, getting some vision out. No other really big advantages anywhere. In fact, the biggest deficit in terms of minions is on the bot side, but they just lost that fight from that great gank from Reincarnation, who, by the way, is playing fantastically for having lost his flash and given up first blood in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost doubling CS in the jungle, mind you, which is a feat in and of itself. But of course, being able to actually have map pressure too is crazy when you're down your flash and you essentially were late starting your camps. Like, it's really, really well played by Reincarnation, showing that the Nunu can be played well on their side too. But you mentioned the CS in the bottom lane. Yes, you can see, despite being up 15 or so, a couple of waves here for Caitlyn, it's that Jinx still has the BF sword up. Over a pickaxe from that gank, so really nice for OSU. And they've only really fallen behind in that farm because of the pressure that Colorado's been putting down here, where they've been shoving in. It's harder to last hit under turret than not.
Yeah, exactly. We do see missing pings onto the Zac. He manages to pick up the Scuttle Crab over by the Drake, and I think he wants to continue on this trend of trying to get Dapper Dave ahead. It was unfortunate that he wasn't there for it, in the first gank, but I think that's where they need to shift their attention now.
Yeah, and the only problem for Zach here is that his topside jungle is all ready for him to take, so they either have to go for Dragon with their extra pressure down here while they expect Nunu to go top lane, or the top side of the map at least, right, for those buffs, or he has to show up. So he's heading towards the top lane. He might look for something in mid for just a moment, but there's not really an opportunity. I expect him to go up there. Nunu gets spotted by a ward, though. This will give the opportunity for Dapper Dave and Jin James to base, pick up a couple more items, some wards to hopefully have more. You can already see that they have a lot of it, but more vision control on that bottom side, because they can use the fact that Zach can come from Fog of War at any gank path really in the bottom lane to help, as you said, get Dapper Dave ahead and hopefully secure the first Infernal Dragon that's on the map.
The Infernal Drake is going to be really key. We've seen that both of these teams love to fight each other, and so that Infernal Drake is going to be amazing amounts of damage for either team that gets it. But now Jinx is putting a lot of damage here. That BF sword doing work, getting a whole third of that turret's hit points down, missing the cannon too, it looked like.
Yeah,
Bummer.
That is a bummer, but not too much of a big deal when you've got 25 bonus attack damage up. But you can see Svoboda flash into the death sentence.
And gets hit with the W and the Flame Chompers, and that's another kill for Best Sniper Africa.
Oh man, only 3 seconds left on the flash. You can see it coming off cooldown just about now. Gets caught in the river. Just the singular boots, not going to give him enough movement speed to get out of dodge. But you can see his project there as Lulu was to try and clear vision, but getting caught, you have to have already brought your team with you to help you get vision, or know that you have vision control so you don't get caught like that. But nice, once again, Svoboda saying, we are not falling O2.
No, definitely not. And, you know, good on Zoologist as well. He picked the Gnar, which has the range. You don't need to be in fighting people, especially against the Kled, who the closer you are to him, the more damage he's going to deal. You're going to get those auto attacks. He's going to get, especially with the Tiamat, just unload damage. And Gnar, when he's mini form, is very squishy. And instead, keeps the distance up there, allowing Nunu to focus on other sides of the map, including bot lane, to pick up the Drake.
Yeah, Zach just falls behind in experience in gold if he doesn't go topside for all of those camps recently. And so knowing that that's where he has to go without missing out on a ton, then you have the extra vision control that you had just secured. You got rid of Lulu, so you have a numbers advantage anyway. You can take that dragon really, really well, especially because you're Nunu. And it's a really important one to remove from the map and deny from Colorado, not only because it's just an Infernal anyway, but Infernal particularly strong for this composition because though Kled will not be extremely tanky, he's going to build health and then damage.
Yeah.
And the damage is what gets buffed by the Infernal, but more importantly, the Cassiopeia has 6 item slots to build damage with, and all of those 6 items will get buffed.
And now we do see Ragnar going in. Reincarnation is there to help Zoologist. Skarl is now gone. He gets hit with the Ice Ball. Ragnar the Sexy is going to go down here. Absolute Zero channeled. Reincarnation picking up a kill. Great gank.
Yeah, good turnaround there. Zoologist holding on to his flash despite losing a lot of his health early. They get the flash out of Ragnar with the flash forward from Reincarnation. I want to see them translate that either into first turret top or into a Herald, because at this point, when you're creating these types of advantages, just like Colorado did last game, you need that Nunu to be getting stuff from the map.
Yeah.
Off of good ganks. And so recalling like that, I think, opens you up for the stall happening. And Colorado, their composition, I just mentioned how much damage they can do if they just scale. I am Order farming extremely well in mid lane, and if he can just keep that up, then he'll get the items he needs to be able to DPS down any front line you throw at him from OSU.
And now I think the next play is going to have to be bot side. We see Vertex in a controlled ward brush, but there's a nice hook onto Lulu, getting hit with the traps as well. No flay. Vertex does not want to go in, but Jin James losing about half his hit points. They're still pretty healthy, but here he is. He shows himself. Vertex is there, and so is Nunu. Reincarnation is on the way. Vertex does get hit with the death sentence. He is unstoppable from Let's Bounce. He gets Svoboda in with him, but Galio jumps in. Super Mega Death Rocket does not get the kill. Reincarnation chasing forward, burning Lulu's flash, still getting the Ice Ball. They do not want to chase all the way under turret, but they do have 4. Never mind, Best Sniper does land the taunt. He gets the crowd control for Jinx. Jinx ready to go. Vertex only has one more hit. Reincarnation taking down this turret. They can take it. Dapper Dave wants to stop him, dealing a lot of damage. Cassiopeia does roam down, gets the miasma. No one can flash on top of it. Reincarnation taking a ton of damage. Ascended Narwhal stops for the ward and gets the passive out of Zac, but goes down for it. Why would you stop and attack a control ward?
Yeah, there's the pause. I was going to say, it looks like a
okay.
disconnect if you're just essentially auto-attacking whatever's closest to you. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But that's kind of what happens when you're not playing land. But it ends up being a pretty good gank there. Nice return by the Nunu. And again, Svoboda, his Thresh play is just clean right now. I can imagine why you'd ban it against him.
Yeah.
Because he gets the Death Sentence into his box, flaying. Like, he keeps Zac so close to that fight that Jinx is able to get him low enough that he has to flash.
Yeah.
And that's huge, because he had to even use his own ultimate just to get out of dodge. And he doesn't really, right? He loses his passive anyway to the Jinx who had DC'd, but you can see this has to turn into a turret before Gnar gets top lane. Oh, so they're gonna
dive him, and Vertex does set that one up, and he uses the stopwatch really quick.
Can he get it?
Kled is there with the charge. He's not going to be able to knock him up, and blue team does get first turret. He misses out on the wallop, throws the Gnar to get him stunned, and Jinjin James is there now. But Zoologist saving the day, getting first turret.
Nice job there. That's really good. Zoologist, knowing that, yes, they have multiple members down the bottom side, they're likely to push for first turret, but nobody's up here to stop me, so why don't I go for it? And he gets it just in time. That's going to be a lot of gold going over to him. Otherwise, things are really equal in top lane. You can see those CS numbers really close. The items are pretty close. But now that Gnar has been able to complete his Black Cleaver, and he's going to probably get boots too at this point on his next base, he's got a lot of pressure in the side wave. I don't think there's really at this point, there's not a winning 1v1 for Ragnar, despite his team keeping really close in gold, and honestly, his jungler having slightly better gank paths. I still don't think that there's a way that you can lock down this Gnar at this point, because he's going to have a lot more poke damage as well.
Yeah, definitely. And now the other problem is just the pressure that OSU has been able to put on the bot side. That turret's already low. I don't think Ragnar can even stay around here. He's pushed right off the turret, and that's an instant second turret for OSU. Nice play there.
Yeah, I mean, Jinx can melt these down, and now that she's got static shift for herself, she's even faster at clearing waves, and you can see the one problem being members now on the top side for Colorado. They're going to have the pressure. You need to rotate that Jinx up. She's grabbing red buff on her way, but hopefully that means you're looking for a fight. Because if you're not looking for a fight, just leave that red buff, pick it up some other time. You don't want to lose and be just bleeding turrets on the map. This will be 2-2 in turrets if they can take this down.
Reincarnation is fast. He gets the slow. That's the leap forward. A nice ultimate from Lulu stops a lot of damage, but there's a Gnar into the wall. Super Mega Death Rocket deals a lot of damage, and Dapper Dave has to flash, but he is not going to escape because Svoboda is there. That is a 3v2, and now Dapper Dave is going to go down to Zoologist. Reincarnation going to channel the ultimate, and a kill for Svoboda on the top side, and somewhere Ascended Narwhal takes down Vertex. They are still fighting. Galio going to deal a lot of damage to the Cassiopeia. Jinx is somehow still alive. An ult there probably to reduce the burn damage. I am order. Wow, really close there. But meanwhile, Kled is just taking turrets from the attack speed from his W. They got to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, really nice catches there from OSU. Honestly, once again, Svoboda here on the Thresh, just doing work, setting up his team for success, catching multiple members, getting that they call it death sentence for a reason.
Oh,
right?
for
Lulu
sure.
falls once again at 0-3-0 to 1-1-4. You can see which support is doing work right now. There's another death sentence.
Death sentences there, throwing Reincarnation under the bus, and Jinx goes down too. Ragnar jumps in from the back with the charge. I Am Order doing a great roam there to stop that Drake. Really good to stop the second Infernal. We talked about the importance of that particular dragon and its impact on this game.
It's essentially a 16% swing. I'll talk about it a little bit more after we see a replay from what just happened mid, since we were watching top lane at the time. But we'll see what happens with the Zac and Cassiopeia. You can see there's a nice catch onto the Zac. He's in turret range on that taunt, so he's just going to go down, and that's a reset. So excited for the Jinx, but she gets a lot of Cassiopeia damage straight to the face. Flash over the wall. That's going to be a heal coming through, and just because the Q almost lands, then Best Sniper says, I got you, fam, and he shows up as well. But that's going to be a couple of summoner spells for a kill. The Jinx has to play really, really safe for the next few minutes.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, fantastic showing here. We said we needed to see OSU changing it up to fight Colorado and to make sure they don't get ahead. Right now, they're not too far ahead themselves, but they're at least even. They're not 6,000 gold at 17 minutes down, and it's looking a lot better for OSU this game.
Yeah. And with, again, those Infernals, Colorado gets one, and it's huge for their composition for the reasons I mentioned earlier. But denying it from OSU is essentially a 16% swing, because not only are you denying 8% from the other team, you're getting it yourself. So you're matching the 8% they already have. It's really important for them so as to not let OSU snowball out of control. Hey, once again with the snowballs, they got the new. But at this point, Jinx is so close to completing Infinity Edge. Caitlyn's slightly closer. When these two AD carries finish those items, then they're going to be doing way too much damage for the junglers to deal with. Just the Ninja Tabby's not going to do enough. When you are an initiator or a frontline champion, you need to at least have a little bit more armor than that. You have a decent health pool of both these champions, but you can't get melted, especially if you're on Colorado. I want to see more armor on this Zac, because if Jinx gets excited off of you, they get to chase down the rest. You can see Zac able to pick up this Rift Herald. That'll help his team get more towers and hopefully bring the gold lead to their favor. But
I guess that interaction does work. Grabbing the Lantern on the Miasma does not stop you. And now Colorado in a pretty good spot here. But Jinx is going to have better wave clear than Dapper Dave. James has to flash away from Best Sniper, who shows up on the Galio. They have decent pressure here on this turret. Ult for Ragnar is available, as it is for Vertex. Vertex is going to back up, and Ragnar is up on the top side. So this siege, I think, should continue. They can get this turret.
Yeah, and now you can see smart play there by Svoboda. He goes off to the side and wards the brush that Zac was just in, because that seems to be the only unwarded up until that point gank path. You can see Meganar's available. They're really strong. The Death Sentence!
The crowd control was super high. Super Mega Death Rocket goes in. Galio gets interrupted. Let's Bounce throws Svoboda back under the turret. I Am Order almost dead. Does go down, but now Zoologist needs to be careful because there are more members of Colorado that are still alive. Best Sniper is going to get the damage reduction and the taunt. Flash forward from Ragnar to try and make the second part of Bear Trap on a rope land, but it is, all in all, a 1-for-2 trade.
Yeah, I mean, a really close fight. You can see the gold's still neck and neck. An Infernal each, 3 turrets to 2. They just stole that third one in mid, but it's going to get answered here for certain in mid lane again. That's going to be the tier 1 falling for each of these teams. That's going to even the gold lead up even more. But you can see, in terms of farm, the Caitlyn is outscaling this Jinx really, really hard. She's going to be able to complete the Infinity Edge on her own terms after taking this turret. She'll likely get closer and closer to either more crit and attack speed, or be able to build lifesteal to stay in the fights even longer. We'll have to see what she decides to itemize for, especially knowing that she has a Lulu. I want to see Lulu completing. I don't agree with having like so much effort put into this mid lane and trying to get her ahead when you need your Lulu to be able to build. The whole idea behind picking Lulu is that she has Whimsy and Shield, and if you get Ardent Sensor, then you're granting like 60% attack speed with on-hit magic damage to your AD carry. It's something in the neighborhood of 7,000 gold worth of stats.
Yeah.
Which in a team fight makes a huge difference, especially on a champion like Caitlyn, who can do it from very, very far away. I need to see that item coming through now. I need to see it now. It's so close. He's only about 650 gold away from completing it.
And the thing that I want to see also from Caitlyn, you were talking about building into lifesteal. I think the Mercurial Scimitar would be a great item. The Jinx traps, the snowballs, the Gnar stuns, the death sentences. There are so many ways to catch the Caitlyn that I think that would be your high damage lifesteal item, plus giving you the ability to cleanse. I think that's where she should build next.
See, I'm just going to disagree, though. My idea here is if you're Caitlyn and you have that much range, you just stay the heck back. There's no way for them to get onto you. And if you're going to get Ice Blasted by Nunu, it's probably because you're auto-attacking him. And if you're auto-attacking him and you just built a ton of damage, I don't expect... Okay, the one time where you need a QSS is if you face check into a Thresh and he happens to have his team there. So that could be
right.
more in your favor there. The itemization here for Caitlyn, though, I think the next that you go for has to be more crit. You need more attack speed and more crit, especially if you can get the rapid fire cannon. That means that you can poke people down from a safe range without having to worry about taking a death sentence to the face, because that's really the only crowd control spell that can start the fight with you getting caught. Otherwise, I think it's really up to just whether or not you position well as Caitlyn if you're going to die in these fights to some sort of crowd control, because most of it should just be slows that you get hit by, if at all.
Now we do see teleport is up for Zoologist. I want them to put a ward down. Best Sniper Africa is close. Reincarnation is there. He goes in. He is going to get 3 with the taunt. Nunu jumps in, starts channeling Ultimate Zero. It is not very effective. I am order almost down, but instead a double kill for Caitlyn. Svoboda gets polymorphed. Reincarnation is still alive somehow. Zoologist can't 1v4. And that's a double kill maybe for Reincarnation, but 4 for 1. Charge goes in. They want to try and get this Gnar. He is hit. He is slowed. That red buff dealing a lot of work. Zoologist is all alone. 1v4 and an ace for losing the Baron. Colorado doing exactly what they need to do to keep into this game.
Yeah, and if you look at the scoreboard, it's pretty close and gold still. Let's take a look at how this plays out. Watch the Caitlyn positioning, and then, of course, Nunu's going to come around that side. Okay, so they start up the Baron. They start melting it really fast. They have a lot of damage. Remember, Cassiopeia deals a lot of damage to Baron, even without Mountain Dragons, which is the next one that's going to be taken. You can see Dapper Dave gets in. He realizes, here comes the Galio. Dodges out that entrance, and then he's going to get taunted, but he knows he can deal damage. Nunu steals the Baron. You know, Smite Consume. You can't really stop that. But then, Best Sniper on the front line. There is the perfect use of the Petrifying Gaze, stunning 3 people up, giving Caitlyn the time to DPS down the front line, flashing forward to take down the AD carry, and then sitting in a brush, going to get more headshot procs. Now, of course, the Quadra kill gets stolen away, but she's going to chase down. Here comes the charge. They're going to chase down the Gnar, and then, of course, as you mentioned, when it was happening, the red buff Jihadre doing so much work to just keep them on top of Zoologist. He's not tanky enough to deal with Caitlyn's damage. I don't think he ever will be. This is what Caitlyn does. Just so much. It's going to be a triple for Dapper Dave. He's getting back into this game, and then, of course, it's the double for Ragnar the Sexy.
And it's the win condition. Dapper Dave is your guy. And there's your rapid fire cannon, just like you said, getting at the extra range, the higher crit, higher attack speed, all of it. It's all playing into Caitlyn's favor. We do have an unfortunate disconnect again. And, you know, of all the players, Ascended Narwhal needs to be the one not disconnecting. He's going to be your main source of damage.
Yeah. And he's doing pretty well. You can see him getting excited, getting resets off of these fights. He just needs more of it. And Jinx has a higher potential than Caitlyn to DPS in fights because she's got rockets rather than just a single target auto attack. And no Caitlyn ever builds Rununs anymore. It's just not worth it. So if Jinx can stay alive through these fights, she'll be fine. What happened in the last fight we saw in Baron was you got Petrifying Gaze to the face, a lot more damage from Cassiopeia, and then a flash forward from the Caitlyn to delete you out. If you just stay back and you DPS down whomever you can hit just for a moment, that's the better strategy because all you need is to get reset, get excited, and chase people down with your rockets.
Yeah, of course. And so doing really well here on the Jinx, especially considering just how far back Caitlyn can be to CS and fight and everything, staying relatively even, and we can even see it. Only 1 kill down, only 1 death more. Not too shabby here for the Jinx, but Gnar needs to be careful. Zoologist gonna get again. Jin James is there. Vertex jumps in. Flash is not used. He probably hopped. Nope, Lantern.
Yep.
Got the Lantern from Svoboda.
I like his name.
That V right next to the S. Death sentence dodged out by Vertex.
That's like his first miss.
I know. He doesn't miss a lot, but there Vertex jumps in.
Ooh, they get pulled.
Bounces in. Svoboda does flash out. Reincarnation is going to take the Lantern, but Dapper Dave almost takes another hook. Wow. Svoboda doing pretty well. They do lose their bot side turret. Colorado pushing that. And now, not just the bot side, but now they do have first line into the mid lane. There's a really fast ultimate from Lulu and another one from Kled. Svoboda does go down, and they do still have front line onto this turret. It is stopped by Reincarnation and Zoologist who show up. Unlucky. Oh, but they four-shot the red buff. That's great, Dapper Dave.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage from this Caitlyn. You can see if traps going down, there's the rapid fire cannon proc. It's a lot that this Caitlyn can put out, and it helps to siege a turret when you have that much range. And this one was already weakened significantly by Kled with his split push. Nice wave clear attempt here by the Jinx, but that puts her in a compromised position.
Ragnar flashes forward to get the second part of Bear Chop on a rope. Veritex also helps out there. There's the leap away. And now there's a fight up in the top side too. Reincarnation wants to get an ice ball. He gets the slow, but Order gets away. No one is going to be able to intercept it. I lied. Svoboda landing another hook. I Am Order is going to not go down because Jinjin Jams gets in with the ultimate. They take the turret. Dapper Dave is now in the front line. Going to be taking a couple hits from Nar. And now there's the ultimate from Nunu. Best Sniper Africa gets a good taunt. Reincarnation still in the front. Svoboda also taking damage. Winds of War goes down. Dapper Dave is front lining this fight. No fear on the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be afraid. If Death Sentence is on cooldown, there's really nothing that can stop you from attacking. There are things that can deal damage and slow you, but there's very, very few remaining spells that can actually interrupt your ability to DPS fights. With the crit that she has, with the attack that she has, and of course, Lulu has now completed Ardent Sensor and can use Whimsy to help her DPS in these fights. The Caitlyn damage is just too much to deal with. You need more armor, you need more health, you need Randuins, you need more of that kind of defense in your front line if they're not going to get instantly deleted. And of course, that's without even talking about the second item Void Staff in the mid lane here from Cassiopeia, when they don't even have that much magic resist. It's really just the Abyssal Mask and now the parts that are coming through here for those stone plates.
Solo laners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need to get the magic resistance. Right now, Caitlyn is the bigger problem, but Cassiopeia will always scale. Like you mentioned earlier, no boot slot. Cannot buy boots. That's 6 full damage items unless you count the Zhonya's and the Seraph's Embrace as defensive because of the shield and the invulnerability. But I count them. They have a lot of damage on him. Best Sniper Africa gets the jump, he gets a taunt, and he gets hit so hard. Best Sniper does go down to Dapper Dave. Vertex takes a turret shot, but doesn't care because he's a tanky Zac, and he'll heal that up really quick with his Warmogs. Svoboda does not land the Death Sentence. Kled is on the backside, has to dodge away. Reincarnation throws an ice ball. There's a teleport from Zoologist. No Death Sentence there, and now Cassiopeia has the track on the mid lane turret.
Not only that, but look at bottom lane on the map. When it's a side lane that has supers, they will take a turret on their own. There doesn't need to be a champion to help them do that. So a couple more waves, and that Nexus turret could fall on its own in the bottom lane. They do put a good defense in mid, but with Kled being so strong, talk about it later as they do get caught underneath the tier 2.
Vertex is now caught. He's stuck in the ultimate 0. Ragnar gonna take a lot of damage, not before taking out Svoboda. Ragnar is really powerful. Vertex gets knocked up. He's gonna get knocked into the passive with the Jinx ult. Best Sniper Africa goes way aggro. He's gonna get hit with a bear trap on a rope. But now Dapper Dave has to flash away to get the shutdown onto the Caitlyn. Ragnar is going to almost get Skarl. Instead, he is thrown into the Guardian Angel and will go down. Triple kill for Jinx. Ascended Narwhal coming into this fight strong.
Ooh, there's a lot of damage. Red buff here. There isn't an ultimate. No Petrifying Gaze. The Miasma kind of baits her in.
I Am Order is going to get Nard against the wall, and Ascended Narwhal gets the 4th kill of that fight.
Yeah, an extended Quadra. This could be the Baron turned around. Remember, they have Nunu. They can really take this. And, of course, they're going to have the control of this area with 4 members down. Let's take a second look at how this fight goes. Here's what you see on your screen. You're going to have Kled and Cassiopeia trying to come around. This is going to be the ult from the Kled. Had already been used under that tier 2, but pushed up. There's Zac who tries to start this fight, but he's kind of in an awkward position. Nice absolute 0 comes through. Ragnar the Sexy gets a catch onto the support, but you can see right now that's going to be the whiff on the Cassiopeia ult. Petrifying Gaze hits no one as Galio comes through. The Zac had gone deep once again. The Bloblets come out, and these are the reset potions, essentially, for this Jinx, and that gives her the attack speed and the extra damage, just running forward right into the Caitlyn, who doesn't have anywhere to back up to. She has to flash the wall, but the auto attacks will follow anyway. That's going to be the reset for the Jinx. She runs forward. Ragnar the Sexy is going to lose his GA, but oh my goodness, on the side of your screen, you could see the picture-in-picture. That's almost a steal. It is going to be the 3rd dragon going in favor of Colorado, but the Baron was picked up during that time by OSU. So they do have at least some time to stall out. You can see the gold is dead, even despite being down 3 turrets and a couple of kills and 3 dragons total here for Colorado. These are late game scaling dragons for sure. Both of these teams neck and neck, very close. It's a story of AD carries. It's a story of DPS. Which front line can survive the longest without the AD carry of the other team taking them down? We might be seeing Ragnar getting caught here.
He is caught indeed. There's the knockup from the Justice Punch. Zoologist is now in mega form, and Caitlyn is caught completely off guard. Best Sniper gets the kill onto Dapper Dave. No one on OSU has gone down yet. Reincarnation does not hit with the absolute 0, and now they've got 4 men with the Baron buff ready to push on this turret. They're going to lay down the siege, and this is not looking good for Colorado. They weren't ever ahead, and neither was OSU, but now we're seeing everything starting to go OSU's way. They get the Baron, they get the fight, they get the follow-up fight where Dapper Dave is all alone.
Yeah, they just took a couple members down on top of already getting the Baron just a few minutes ago, and they still have the time for Gnar to be in the bottom lane, keeping the base safe, and like helping, you know, essentially let the Nexus turrets regen. But during that time, they're able to push. Jinx is so fast at melting down turrets if nobody's there to stop it. They've got minions. They've got Baroned up minions. So you can see they're going to break the base here. No questions asked within the next few minutes. There's still 20 seconds on a couple of members for Colorado, meaning there's no way that Jinx doesn't break this base open, get excited. They can either back off or rotate to another lane. We'll have to see what decision they make, but there's no way they don't get mid lane on this push.
So now, one of the biggest things for Jinx is the recent change to her minigun. It used to be after you got 3 auto attacks, it would ramp up in attack speed. They changed it. Is it per level of the spell or just the later the game goes?
It's level of the spell itself.
So that means it is maxed out. Look at all of that, especially with the red buff. They take the mid lane turret, they take the mid lane inhibitor. There was nothing Colorado could do to stop that, and they have the enhanced recall. They can reset and get ready for the next push. Gnar already on the duty on the bot side. The inhibitor has respawned. No super minions to fight there.
I like Svoboda's idea. He pinged on the way to go and stop the blue. He puts a ward there. They're not going to contest it. I would have liked to have seen that stolen away on the way out, because if you can deny that from the Cassiopeia, that's even more mono regen, her ability to kind of take these fights or take miniature trades before fights. Denying that could be pretty important. Not game losing to not do it, but it's a smart choice to steal away buffs on your way out. They didn't have enough time to do the red, but the blue was on its way back. As soon as they were walking by, you could see it, even with the mobility boots that Svoboda has. He walked by it right as it was spawning, put a ward on it. What I want to see here from OSU is going to be more of the same that they've done in the last couple of minutes, which is keep Jinx in the back line, bait in the fights, and then peel for the Jinx, or at least trap down whomever the single frontline target is for Colorado that's gone in. Most of the times this has been Zach. A couple of times it's been Ragnar getting caught on this Kled. Whichever one it needs to be, it looks like it might be Kled again if he actually gets caught here. You can see, here's the Nunu on the flank. Not going to catch him out. But if you can get Jinx excited, then it doesn't matter how fed Caitlyn is, because she can't match the movement speed, the chase potential on now a GA completed Jinx.
Now we need to see Zoologist being really careful. I Am Order is there, wants to throw down the Miasma. Vertex tries to get the stun with the Stretching Strike. I Am Order taking so much damage. Look at Zoologist. He gets slowed from the ultimate, but not stunned. Polymorph and Dapper Dave does pick up a kill. That does leave 4 members of OSU on the bot side against only a Kled. They're going to take a turret for sure.
Yeah, if not a couple of them. The recalls are coming through, but these are... The last of the Baron has now timed out. They're definitely going to get the tier 2. They back off. They're going to reset, likely to hopefully secure a vision near this bottom side so that they don't lose that inhibitor again down here. They did take mid recently. They've got about 4 minutes left of the mid lane inhibitor being down. Nice catch, honestly, by Colorado going towards the source of the global, the teleport, if you may, from OSU. They catch him out, but there's not much followed up there, and you do trade a turret for it. You need to use the time that Zoologist is down to get something for it. If you weren't going to take the fight 5v5, which there's arguments to be made to say that they shouldn't, I'd say they're pretty close at this point, then catching the one person, smart idea, but now do something with that time, be it securing vision or otherwise. And it looks like they are securing vision around the Baron pit. Baron's still a while out, a couple of minutes at the very least, but 2 minutes exactly remaining before the dragon comes up, and it's going to be an Elder. This is the first Elder, meaning it's huge for Colorado and still pretty good for OSU.
Oh, for sure. This should be the big contest point where you want to fight. You want to make sure that your team picks up that Elder Drake. The true damage burn, especially because it's going to double what Drakes you have. So even on OSU, going to make that 8% become 16, really, really critical. And it's a better objective to go for as it comes right up. You can take it and go immediately to the Baron. Whichever team wins that fight should be able to win the actual team fight, go to the Baron, and then push for a really convincing way of almost ending the game.
Well, what I'd like to see is if Colorado can secure the Dragon, then what they can translate that into is either a 1-3-1 or just a 4-1 split push with Ragnar on the side lane, especially bottom lane since it's already opened up, because the essentially quadrified Mountain Drake will do so much for that pushing potential, but we might be getting a fight instantly here.
2 ultimates used to try and get onto Reincarnation. He channels the Absolute Zero, gets the full channel onto Vertex, doesn't deal a lot. Ragnar is now taking a lot of damage. There's the Galio ultimate to make Reincarnation a little bit more durable. Super Mega Death Rocket goes down. Ragnar picks up the first kill, but there's a stun onto Best Sniper Africa. He is going to get a lot of damage onto I Am Order, but the Seraph's Embrace is there. There's the Zhonya's resurrecting is the Jinx. She is taking down everything. No, she dies. Reincarnation and Svoboda are the last 2, and that was a massive fight for Colorado.
I want to see them push for the win here. There's not really a lane that's set up for it, but they can at least send Ragnar here. No need to have him help with the Dragon. Send him to go get the inhibitor. There's no way that a Nunu and a Thresh can stop you from taking the inhibitor when you've already got a couple of Mountain Drakes. You're super tanky with at least the health that you need. They can't really take you down. Their ultimates were used in that fight. Okay, like they're securing the Dragon, but they don't really need to commit 4 members to that. There's the side waves pushing. They need to answer those, and they could have gotten the inhibitor to create extra pressure for what is surely to be a 5v5 Baron fight in just a few seconds.
I'm pretty sure Nunu's going to make sure that this turret goes down. He's going to Blood Boil himself and one of those caster minions, take a lot of hits, but Dapper Dave does show up. Ooh, nice wave clear with the double Zeal items there. Popping those up. No turret for them. Unfortunate.
Yep, and he did end up going for the Mercurial that you mentioned.
That was 2,800 damage on that minion.
Yep, it's a lot.
That was messed up.
The bonus magic damage from both the Energized proc, the headshot, the crit, and then, of course, Lulu's damage that's amped up there from the Ardent Sensor. But now it's the Vision game. You can see that there is a ward in the pit when they start up the Baron. It's just Zac starting it up and alone. He takes about 300 damage, but it's kind of a split fight here. Jinx is caught on the front end.
Yeah, Ascended Narwhal does go down. Zoologist is now the target. Svoboda is on his way. Zoologist has Mega Gnar ready, but when your 80 carry is down, you need to stop. They're like we were talking about. It's the story of the carries. Once they are down, you cannot continue to fight because you don't have enough damage, and that's going to be a free Baron for Colorado.
Yeah, and now they've got Baron and a little left time on this Elder Dragon buff. It's going to time out shortly, but they should be able to get at least a couple of turrets. Like they're definitely getting this tier 2 outside the base. They should be able to get another in the 20 seconds that they have to push. There's not a full-on group here from OSU, so they're not really in a position to defend this tier 2, let alone, defend their base, let alone this tier 2. So you can see it's a little bit of a catch here onto Best Sniper.
Vertex does use the ultimate, but does not get anyone. They do get the kill onto the Galio. Blue loses their mid lane turret as well. OSU unable to answer the 3-side push here. Jinx is alive and throws down the Flame Chompers, but it's to no avail. No death sentence there. Ragnar pushing the mid side, and that's going to be 2 inhibitors down with the Baron buff, and it looks like the Drake is going to cancel any second now. There it goes. And there's the 3rd inhibitor. That's going to be double waves. Even if they don't stay in fight, they're going to end up pushing super hard. And now Jinx wants to try and stop them. Throwing a lot of damage down there. Oh, wow, I mean, not 2,000 damage. There are 960s and stuff. But doing decent wave clear here. And now the Nice. Ooh, the Mercurial Scimitar. There are the ultimates in for Ragnar. Ascended Narwhal goes down. Zoologist is going to be polymorphed, but into Mega Gnar form. He throws everybody back, almost gets the damage onto Lulu. Instead, he goes down, and that is an ace. Colorado saving this game, not taking the early game too seriously and getting tilted from being a little bit behind, and they come back for the win.
Yeah, I mean, really nice play, especially coming into the late game. They played a slow, steady, wins the race. I said that was true of OSU. And Colorado must have heard me because that's exactly how they played out the rest of the game. I mean, we saw in game one, they created massive leads for themselves, kind of played sloppy in the mid-game, ultimately won it. And then here, they kind of took a really close game and were able to say, here's our win condition. It's keep Caitlyn alive, DPS people down with Caitlyn, and, of course, Cassiopeia. Take fights when we can as a group. And when we win those fights, we just take as many objectives as possible off of it. And they played it cleanly into the late game. So really well played there by Colorado. Exciting for them. I'm sure they're happy about their first match win, second game win, 2 in a row here. Coming off of being 0-2'd last week to come back and 2-0 someone else, that's got to feel really good.
It not just feel good, it's got to make you feel good about the tournament as a whole, because you may have been beat, but you just beat someone. That means the next game, even if you do get beat, you can beat someone. It changes your entire outlook on the tournament. Whereas for OSU, they've lost both of their matches. That's probably going to be a lot harder to bounce back, especially next week when they have to take on a whole new opponent, someone they're not familiar playing.
It's a long series, though, right? You've got weeks and weeks to come where you can get your own wins. You can even start stacking those wins.
Yeah.
Just dropping a couple of matches early is not a huge deal. You do actually have to bounce back from it if you have hopes for playoffs. Again, it's like the top 3 out of 5 teams from each group. Yeah. So it's no, your hopes aren't gone by any means from dropping a couple of games early in the series. But that's going to do it here. We're going to take a quick look at today, what we saw today, as well as what to expect coming up on the schedule. You can see that's now Colorado going 1-1 in terms of match score, down to 0-2 for Oregon State. And then, of course, we're going to see on Monday, we hope you'll join us then, we're going to have Arizona, who did lose their first match here on PACG, taking on the new team, UCLA. They're the ones that we haven't seen yet, so we're excited to see them show up. But that's going to do it again for our broadcast here. Broadcasting live from the Einar Nielsen Fieldhouse at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. PACG, a completely volunteer-run production. Like, all of us here are just on our own time, enjoying it for sure. If you didn't see, by the way, if you did not see Monday's games, you need to go check those out in the recent broadcasts in the history for University of Utah Esports channel over there and PACG as well. Check out those games because they were amazing and a pleasure to cast. Tonight's games were good as well. Check those out if you came in late. And then, of course, join us for, we got other titles coming up, don't we?
Yeah, on Saturday it's ULO.
And, of course, in the meantime, we've got for PACG Hearthstone coming up on Thursday. Friday is going to be Rocket League, and you can check out that schedule on the Twitch channel here below, also on the PACG channel. If you want to follow the social media to keep up on those updates, it's at Pacific ACG. That's at Pacific ACG for Twitch, Twitter, and the like, Facebook as well. And for me, you can follow me on social media. I'm Superman. You can follow me at Superman Casting, same handle for pretty much every single platform.
And very simple, at Juhadre everywhere else.
Yeah, thanks you guys for joining us. We hope to catch you tomorrow for Hearthstone, Friday's Rocket League, and then ULOL, it's not PACG, but it's ULOL matchup here on University of Utah Esports Twitch channel on Saturday if you want to join us for that. If not, League of Legends fans, back on Monday. We'll see you then. Have a good night.